Hello, everyone. I am Dr. Pamela, and we are back on Right Now, an author's platform. Woo! Remember, you are here on purpose with a purpose by design. And so I want to ask you right away to hit that subscribe button. Go ahead, hit it right now, and be ready to share. In fact, hit that share button right now before we get started because there is somebody you know that needs to hear this episode, this broadcast tonight. So, one of my good friends, somebody that I have been able to get to know through coaching programs, different speaking engagements, different functions. Oh my goodness, different book projects we've been in. She is amazing and a good friend of mine. Oh my gosh, Carolyn, welcome to Right Now. Woo! So excited to have you here, Carolyn. Tell us, who are you?
Well, first, Dr. Pamela, thank you so much for having me on your show. I can't believe we finally were able to get together. I am so excited. I'm honored. I'm just excited to be here. But for those of you who don't know me, yes, I am Carolyn Brooks-Collins. I am a life empowerment coach for women over 50 and the creator of Becoming You coaching program. I help to empower women over 50 to find their authentic selves and to start dreaming again. My mantra is it's never too late to start living your best life and to take control of your life. I found that often women, they maybe reach a certain age and they are told that once you reach that certain age, oh, it's time to sit back and rest, and that you have lived your life and you really can't contribute anymore. So I want women to know that it is never too late to start living your life and living your dream, because often we just we become on autopilot, and sometimes that's just a continuation of us drifting through our life as we did earlier, and we keep making practical decisions or decisions about our life based on what other people expect us to do, and we don't put ourselves first. So I am here to encourage women that it is never too late to start dreaming again and to live your life expectantly. And I'm excited to be here.
Well, you know what? It's amazing to hear you say all of this on my end because I've known you for a season of time and I have watched you literally live out what you are teaching. You are not, regurgitating or parroting something that you pulled out of a textbook. You are someone that has reinvented yourself, not because life turned upside down, but because you retired and you didn't retire, you refired, and you had a plan and you enacted the plan, created the plan, and now you're living the plan. So tell us a little bit of your journey of how you got to where you are at today.
Pamela, thank you. Are just first too kind, but I just lived a normal life. I say normal life that most women live. We grow up, we go to school, we get a good job, a job with benefits, and that's what I did. I didn't think about what I wanted to do. I made practical decisions. So I worked as an accountant. I worked hard in my career, became a CPA, and I'm a fraud examiner, but I did that for 45 years, raised my family, had 3 children, including my bonus son, but I worked hard to strive in my career, putting my family first. And in fact, in our family, we decided that my husband's career would take precedence. And so we moved as opportunities arose for him. And that really led us to Atlanta. So I did well, but I didn't think about what else I might want to do. I found myself letting life events kind of direct my path. And so for 45 years, I worked in that corporate space. And as Dr. Pamela, as you said, I retired this past March. But leading up to that, during COVID, I was actually listening to a Les Brown Facebook Live, and he said, "Are you living the life you love?" And ooh, that got my attention. My ears perked up because all I could do was say with a resounding no that I wasn't doing that. And I started thinking about what is it that I really wanted to do with the rest of my life. I mean, at this point, I thought if I am blessed to live as long as my parents, and especially my dad, who lived to the age of 100 and just recently passed away, that I really have another 25, 30 years to live. And what am I going to do with that? So I was going to say it forced me, but I actually took the time to sit back and think, what was important to me? What did I want to do with my life? Maybe something I had dreamt about when I was younger and really had kind of put that aside and said it wasn't feasible for me or possible for me. And so I just started thinking about what did I want to do? And if you have not guessed, I have always loved speaking. I can remember someone recently on Facebook talked about, oh, when we used to have to write, I will not talk. I will not talk during class. Oh, I am probably one of the key students who had to write that over and over again because I love to talk and would get in trouble for doing that. So I started thinking about what did I want to do? And I knew that I wanted to share my voice, share my message on the stage, whether it was speaking or coaching, and also with doing some writing. And we're going to talk about some of the books that I contributed towards, as well as acting. I actually took acting lessons. So I just decided that it was time for me to discover who I was and to be all that I could be. So, yes, that's my story. And I feel like, no, I can't be the only person who feels that way. I know that there are many, many other women who have just kind of been put in a box, and maybe it's time for them to just step out of that box and explore their life as to what else they can do and what they want to do.
That is so beautiful and powerful. And like I said, you are somebody that has walked through that. Now, one thing that you didn't touch on that I'd like to ask you if you would touch on it just a little bit, because, I really thought, oh, Carolyn has just had this amazing whole adult life. And, she's got her kids and this great career. But you went through some different ups and downs as well. So you're not somebody that is, you know, not suffered pain. You have gone through some stuff. And so would you share a little, could you unpack that just a little for us today?
Oh, definitely. I know that and people have said that to me. They look at me and they say, "Oh, well, your life is perfect. What do you know about trials and tribulations?" And I thought, we all have been through things.
Yeah.
So yes, just through my marriage, every marriage has its ups and downs, and mine was the same. But my husband became ill at a point in time when our marriage perhaps was not the best. And I had to make that decision. Am I going to care for him during his illness? And it was a very trying time for us because and he ultimately succumbed to his lung cancer. But it was a long period. It was an 18-month illness where he progressively got worse. We thought that he would actually recover because he was doing so well. But after 2 rounds of chemo, he decided that nope, he wasn't going to go through another chemo treatment. And so we thought he was recovering, but then when he stopped his treatments, then we saw that no, the cancer was still there. and he opted to go into hospice care, which was a very it was a very traumatic time in our lives. And watching someone die, taking care of them is not an easy situation. And so my heart always goes out to caregivers because it's difficult. And often caregivers stop practicing self-care. And that's something I needed to do and learn to take care of myself, take care of my family. And so when my husband Jackson passed away, I knew I needed to take care of my family. I knew I needed to make sure I had a roof over my head. I knew I had to keep my job. So I kind of went into autopilot again, just kind of letting life's events take charge of my life and take charge of my decisions. But I went from that to being downsized. I joined a company thinking it was going to be a great opportunity. 3 years later, our entire department was downsized and we all had to find jobs. And it was a very traumatic experience. But through all of those, I had just kept my faith. I believed in myself, believed in my abilities, still on autopilot, but I always felt that God had a plan for me. God was going to protect me. God had my back, and I would land on my feet. But I do recall that scenario, that event when we were told that we were going to be downsized, and we had 2 weeks to decide what we were going to do. And then we had a list of jobs that we could apply for. But I'm telling you, while some people were going through the list, trying to decide what was the best fit, I applied for all 25 jobs. But knowing there were 70 people looking and applying for those jobs. So you have to do the math. 70 people, 25 jobs, not everyone had an opportunity or was able to have a job. So I didn't know where I was going to go. I didn't know the results of any of those interviews. And each person in the department was called down to HR. We were handed an envelope, and that envelope told us whether we were starting a job that next Monday, because this was on a Friday, or whether we were going to hit the street looking for a job. And so I sat there, and I've actually talked about this, but I sat there and thought, this is the last time you are going to just have someone have that much control over your life. To sit there and not know what I was going to do from that afternoon on. I just sat there and thought, okay, you have got to change. There has got to be a change in your life. And I would love to say that I took control of my life then, but it started me on the path to think there has to be a better way. And I landed a job. I actually ended up working in a new city, move where I didn't know anyone, but I survived. I took that opportunity. I went back to school, got my master's, but still thinking about, all right, here's my career. Let me focus on being the best CPA that I could be, not really thinking about what else life had in store for me. But we all go through traumatic events in our lives, and I feel that it's how we react and receive them, that having that positive attitude just helps us get through all of these events. So yes, I've had some tragedy in my life. I've had some ups and downs, but I have maintained that positive attitude. In fact, I've always been accused of, going through life with my rose-colored glasses on. And I've just said, no, I just have faith. And I believe that there's a plan for me. And I believe I'm going to land on my feet. So,
amen.
Yeah, yes, that's right. That's right. I don't think I'm invincible, but I believe that I have strength and fortitude and just the power of my mind, knowing that I have a skill set that I've worked and developed, but I
Yep.
also know that there is that greatness, and I talk about that in a book, but that greatness in me, that there is something in me that that I still haven't seen yet, that
Right.
we that thing that will still unfold as
Mhm.
we continue over the next several years. So I'm excited to see what life has in store for me, knowing the events that I've gone through, the tragedies and the trauma that I've gone through have helped me prepare and still maintain that positive outlook on life.
Oh, I love that. And I just love what you talked about with the whole direction of your mindset with longevity, because that's not the mindset that many would have. They could think, oh my gosh, I could be here till I'm 100. Like you're going, okay, so what am I going to do? And, across the board, hands down, this is the way that you move in prosperity and abundance through life. And I don't just mean money, I mean just having a prosperous life is having the right mental attitude, one that God can work with, right? And so here
Absolutely.
you have shared with us, pulled back the curtain a little bit, so to say, and gave us a peek at the fact that no, you didn't just have rose petals to walk through. You went through some difficult times. And in fact, can I ask you a couple of questions? Because I wrote
Ask
notes
away.
on a couple of things that you said. So you mentioned that, oh, first of all, acting lessons. Tell
Ah,
us about acting lessons. And then I have a question regarding your husband. But tell us
yeah.
about acting lessons. What brought that on and what was that like?
Do you know, it's interesting. I started looking at commercials, really focusing on them, and I said, oh, there are a lot of people, older people in commercials. There are more African Americans and people of all ages. But I saw an interview, and I wish I could remember the actress's name, but the woman who was a chief in the movie The Black Panther, she was the oldest actress or actor on the set when the Black Panther premiered. She was 92, and she talked about receiving the part that her agent had sent her the part, and she thought, oh no, I can't do it. I can't do it. And her family encouraged her to practice and practice, and she memorized the lines. She did the audition, and she has gotten another part. So I thought, my goodness, if she could do that in her 90s, clearly I could do that now in my late 60s. So I started looking at opportunities to take acting lessons, and I took classes from, I don't know if I can say the name, but John Casablancas for about 6, 7 months was a class, but we took modeling and monologue and voiceover lessons. And then I got really busy and didn't do anything with it. But even just recently, I was a background actor for a movie. And so that was my first time. And I got to meet just great, great people who this was their first time. Some they've been doing this for years. They love the fact that it was always something new, something different. So I'm going to continue doing that, and I'll start auditioning for some other roles and some commercials. So I have some. Actually just got a call back for a commercial, so I'm excited about that. And so we'll just see where that goes.
I love it. See what I mean, everybody? She did not let, oh, okay, I'm retiring, or oh, okay, I've been through all of this, stop her. She continued to believe that there's good things coming. And that gives God what he needs to work with. Do you mean God needs to have I mean, isn't he God? Can't he do? He is God, sure. But if you are going to be a party pooper, how is he going to get any good things to you the way that he would want to? I'm not saying good things won't happen, but when we have the mindset of being able to see things through his lens for our life, we will just keep moving forward. And Carolyn, that's what you've demonstrated. That's what you're demonstrating. That's what you're showing all of us how to do. And that's why you're a great coach and a great leader, because you lead by design. We can do what you tell us to do because you're doing it. You're ahead on that road, experiencing it, doing it. And you can say, hey, the Apostle Paul was that kind of leader. He'd say, follow me as I follow Christ.
Right.
And that didn't mean that he was perfect, but he was endeavoring to keep the faith and follow, even though there were hardships, and snake bit, all, sunk, and the boat sank, shipwrecked, all this kind of stuff that happened, but he just kept on keeping on, right? And
Yes,
so
he did.
if you've gone through the things that you've gone through, you haven't let it stop you. You let it be a stepping stone instead of a stumbling block. And that is so powerful. That's the kind of leadership we need in this world right now. And it's the kind of leadership women need. So I'm so glad that you're sharing this with us, and that you gave a little peek into the acting world and all of that. And yes, John Casablanca, I remember going through John Casablanca years ago. So we've just plugged them now. Yay.
Yes, no, that's what I've been thinking. But it was a great experience. And often I found in the classes that I was the oldest person there.
Sure.
But then sometimes I wasn't. But then, being in class with teenagers and young children, but we all needed to do the same thing. We all needed to learn the same basics. So it was good. I just said, nope, I will just be open-minded, be open to whatever opportunities present themselves. So it was a great experience.
Oh,
And now I have an agent. And so we'll see what happens.
Carolyn, I love this about you. She's got an agent. She's writing books. She's speaking. She's coaching. Okay, a question about going back in time to you. Excuse me, when your husband became ill.
Mm-hmm.
You said that it wasn't at the best time of your marriage, right? And so you also said you had a decision to make. And so I think we all know what that decision is. Like, do I stay and walk through this with him? Do I walk through it from a distance? That's a big decision that you had to make. And I'm sure that there are women out there right now that are either in those exact shoes, or maybe they're just going through some complications in their marriage. Maybe they've been married 10 years, 20 years. Maybe there's infidelity. Maybe there is sickness. I mean, whatever could be going on, or just like, what, you've grown apart. How did you come to the place where you could make a clear-cut decision? Or did you not? You just kind of just punted and then, like, not cross your fingers, but it's just like, okay, God, just help me. How did you make those decisions? That's a big deal, because you stayed, you walked him through all of it as a caregiver, and brought him all the way to, really, you walked him into the arms of the Lord. You walked him into heaven. So yeah, just talk to us a little bit about that.
Pamela, it was 16 years ago, but sometimes it feels like it was just yesterday. We had grown apart, as many couples do. And I had reached the point where I decided that wasn't the life I wanted to live. Had actually gone to an attorney, had a separation agreement prepared. And I just said, no, let's just wait. Let's just wait a month or two. And in that interim, my husband became ill. He started losing weight. We knew he had a problem with his with blood clots, and they treated that first, and that's when they saw that there was a spot on his lungs. It was a very difficult decision, but I could not leave him at that point.
Yeah.
Did I think about the appearances? Probably did, but I also knew that I cared for him. I loved him. And though I felt it was probably better if we weren't living together, but I loved him, and I just could not see him going through that by himself.
Right.
And I mean, admittedly, I was not the best caregiver at times. He was not the best patient at times. My husband, which is what I loved about him, but had a very strong personality. Uh, some would say he was arrogant, very self-assured, very self-confident, and that became difficult at times, particularly he became as his illness progressed and he became sicker, because he still wanted to keep control. And at times it's like, you can't be in control of this, right? I'm here trying to help you, accept the help. And there were times then, yes, I had to say a prayer, but it brought us closer. My husband, we always were churchgoers, but I would not say he was the most religious person. But he started reading the Bible, started saying, nope, we needed to go to church. And we actually talked about our relationship. And I forgave him for everything that happened. He forgave me for things that had happened. And we just went through this together. And it became even more difficult, as I mentioned earlier, when he decided to go into hospice, initially at in-home hospice care. And it became more difficult for me because I was still working full time. Our daughter was a senior in high school. Our next oldest son was in college, and then our oldest was starting his career, but they were in Virginia and New York. My daughter was still here in Atlanta. So just trying to be sure that they could deal with it, that they understood, yes, your dad is getting ill. Yes, he's opted to go into hospice care. It is terminal. He is going to leave us. Just getting them to understand that, and particularly with my daughter, to still with my daughter, to even be able to say goodbye to her dad, because there were times my husband was a heavy smoker. And so my daughter's attitude was, well, it's because of his smoking. And if he wanted to change, he could have changed, and he opted not to change. So she was a little hard on him.
Sure.
And I think she came to some resolution there, but I knew that I didn't have control over that. So that was almost difficult to even watch that. But we were married for 20 years, and several months after our 20th anniversary, he passed away. What I was going to say was thinking about the fact I was still working full time, but it got to the point that he needed morphine every 2 hours, and I was waking up throughout the night giving him morphine. And I reached a point that I realized I needed to take a leave of absence from work, because I was just so exhausted that I knew I couldn't work during the day. But prior to that, I would go home. I was worried about him. I would go home during lunch just to check on him, just to be sure he was there, that he was. I think I was afraid that maybe he would pass away and I wouldn't be there. So I
Yeah.
would check on him to see that if he needed anything. So it was difficult. And I know I'm not the only woman who's gone through that. I saw a similar situation where the couple did not have a good relationship. The husband became ill, also with lung cancer, and his spouse kind of let him go through it by himself. I know she was not attending doctor's visits with him. So at that point, I know how I felt about that, and said, no, I need to be sure he has someone to lean on, that I'm going to be there with him and help him through that. I mean, it's not to say we still didn't argue about things, because he was still very strong opinion about how his medicine should be given to him. And I'm just like, really? Okay. I'm doing the best I can. Right. So, but I felt good about my decision. I had no qualms about my decision to stay, to care for him. I was researching cancer remedies and giving him tea and making these concoctions. And he got to a point that he was even using a feeding tube. And still, it was like, what can we do? It's not over. You're still here. But
Yeah.
when he went into hospice, that was a difficult decision for me to accept it because I was still in the, oh, there must be something else we can do.
Sure.
He just said, no, I'm tired. I don't want to do anything else. But I asked him, are you ready to die?
Mm.
Because that's what going into hospice means. And he said, no, who's ready to die? No, I'm not. But but he knew he didn't want to start another chemo treatment because that would have been his third one. And though outwardly he seemed to be able to, I guess, go through the process, go through the chemo treatment without any outward problems. He didn't lose his hair. He seemed everything intact, but I don't know how he felt. I don't know what he went through after. Maybe because I remember he went into the bathroom. So I couldn't make that decision for him, and I had to accept his decision, and that was hard for me. It was hard for his mother.
Oh
It
God.
it was very hard because what parent
Mm.
wants to see uh,
Right.
their child die before them? So it was very difficult for her, and that became very difficult for the two of us and our relationship because she felt I didn't do everything I could do. So it just was a very difficult time. I'm laughing, but it was a very difficult time. It's like trying to, especially when I was still trying to work, take care of my husband, deal with my mother-in-law, my brother-in-law, who were just questioning every decision. And I just had to say, God, just give me the strength. Just let me make sure I'm doing what's best for my spouse, for my children, for myself, and just keep moving forward. So,
That is so powerful. And it really lends to the whole teaching angle of
mhm,
what you do now, and that is to help women to become their next best, to live again, to dream again, to care for themselves again. So you go through this period of time, and as I like to say, walked your husband home to heaven. And
mhm.
that's not an easy thing. Yeah, it's beautiful. I didn't come up with it. I can't say I did. It's a beautiful wording though, but you walked
Mhm,
home, and now you're going to get laid off,
mhm,
and you're trying to cope with all of what has just happened, from having separation papers drawn up to making a change and staying in the marriage, caring for him, walking him all the way home into heaven. And now you're going through this. And at some point, you are realizing, somebody else has control over my life, and I don't like this. And so that seed is planted inside of Carolyn, that Carolyn needs to make changes. Carolyn needs to look at what Carolyn wants, because you were almost there in the aspect of writing up these separation papers, and then you made that
mhm,
to stay and to care for your husband after all those years, and not throw your family probably through anything else that would be traumatic. I totally understand that.
mhm,
Now here you are, kind of like full circle, and you're back again in this situation, and God's like knocking on the wall of your heart or your head and saying, okay, so when is it time for you? So what can you kind of
mhm.
show us a little bit of that? What got you to the place of saying, all right, I need to take better care of me. I need to look at my dreams and goals. And gosh darn it, I'm gonna be a speaker. And you talked a little bit about Les Brown. How did you end up there? And acting classes? Where did this come
Yes.
from? And now you're a coach, and you said at the beginning you have your own coaching program. So how did you go from Carolyn just buried her husband to Carolyn has now lost her job to look at you now? Walk us through that
Wow.
process.
Wow. Gina, as I said, I always believe God has my back and that I will land on my feet. So, yes, downsize, got a job, opened the envelope, found out that I had a job. I was moving to another city, working on a construction site, which was something different. Did that for 3 years. And all I could think of still was thinking of my career, continuing my career as an accountant, as a CPA. What did I need to do? I had always wanted to get my master's, and it just didn't fit with us moving back around from city to city. I had started school, stopped, we got a transfer, and we moved. So I took the opportunity to get my master's. So I got my MBA, still thinking that, all right, what do I need to do to help me progress in my career? But I took took training, got more certifications, and then someone called me about another job, and that's when I ended up moving back to Atlanta with a job that was perfect for my background. They needed someone with my exact experience with the MBA in project management, et cetera, who had worked on fraud evaluations and uh, did fraud training. So everything was perfect for that job. But I was still moving with the thought process that I'm going to still work on my career until COVID hit. Did that, but I worked there for almost 10 years, loved my job, but I also realized I still did not have control of my life. Still was asking, how much vacation do we have? People didn't, I worked in an environment where people really didn't take their vacation, not a lot. They had their 2 weeks or 3 weeks or more, but they might have taken a week. Being gone longer, it was just a culture where it was somewhat frowned upon. And
Mhm.
I had to think, is this the environment that I want to continue being in? But
Yeah.
then COVID hit, and again, listened to Les Brown. I knew who Les Brown was. I could not say I was a devout follower. I had heard of him. I'd heard him speak. But when I listened to him that day, and when he asked, are you living the life you love? I just thought, oh my goodness, no, I'm not. And I kept listening to him. And I listened to him offer his Power Voice class, and I decided to join. Now, at the time, I wasn't thinking in terms of, oh, I would do public speaking or do motivational speaking. I thought, well, I already speak at work. I do presentations at work. This will help me. Maybe it'll help me project my voice. It'll help me be a little bit more personable. That's what I thought about. So I took, continue with Power Voice, listen to Les Brown, listen to all the stories, and talk about that we all have a story in us, that people are waiting for our story, that we have the ability to impact the lives of others. That just resonated with me. And Power Voice led me to John Tallarico with Thinking into Results. That really just turned my world upside down, but was still in alignment with what I thought, that God has a plan for me,
Yes.
that I will always land on my feet. But it talked more about believing in yourself, having that mindset, setting a goal, something that you've never done. And that's when I started thinking, what do I want to do? What is it that is deep inside me. What is that dream? What is that goal? And that's when I said, yes, I want to use my voice. I want to speak. I want to be a motivational speaker. I want to impact the lives of women. I want to help women take control of their lives. I want them to take control of their personal life, take control of their health, take control of their finances, to use those skills to help them. And right now, what I want to initially is help them decide or find themselves, determine who they want to be, help them to start dreaming again, and then help them with other areas of their lives. So, uh, thinking into results with John Tallarico, but first with learning to speak, learning to share my story, learning to come out of my shell, to, even though I still have my moments, oh Lord, do I have my moments, but getting out of my own way and
What?
not being afraid to share my thoughts, share my story, and recognizing that I have the ability to positively impact the lives of other people. That's kind of what led me to where I am. And so now I can say I am living my best life. And I know it's just going to get better, better and better and better. And I look back now and say, no, I have no regrets, but I have taken the time to invest in myself, to get with a new community
Yeah.
of people who have the same beliefs, they're the same thoughts, who are encouraging you to go forward and be the best that you can be,
Right.
versus people who sit back and say, why do you want to do that? Hmm, well, you're 68, you've lived your life. Eh, don't you think that's the time to do that has passed? That's something you could have done or should have done in your 30s and your 40s. So I realized that those are not the people that I need to be around. And I am just excited about life and what lies ahead. And all of the people that I've met, including you, Dr. Pamela, just that positivity, saying, yes, just go for it. You can become anything you put your mind towards. If you believe it, if you dream it, if you can imagine it, you can do it. So that's where I am now. And
Oh,
so
that's
life is great.
so amazing. And you have come out of your shell. I love how you said that. I wrote down that you came into the coaching program. So John Tallarico is a transformation coach, and both Carolyn and I have gone through his programs, plural, and
Programs.
I'm
Yes.
actually part of his team. Yay! So
Yeah.
wonderful. But what does that mean? Transformation coach. It means that you transform, right? You
Hmm.
are looking for change in your life, and you said that that you were looking to find what you really wanted to do and find your
Yes.
authentic self, find you, that it wasn't time just to, like you said, be done, like, all done. I guess I should just, kick back now in my golden years. It was like, no, what is next for Carolyn? And so you walked through this, which is why you're so amazing at instructing others to do it. Because as you came to those crossroads in your life, you made a choice positively, and you walked right through those doors. And like you said, expecting God to have your back and for you to land on your feet, which He had proved
Hmm.
many times that you were always going to land on your feet if you would continue to trust in Him and keep moving. You already had testimony after testimony of how He has done that for you, right? And so I wrote down that you said that you were going to not have any regrets, and I think that that is so powerful, because how many people are full of regrets, and
Absolutely.
we need to not be full of regrets. And so you chose at this time in your life that you weren't going to have regrets. And that is powerful. You also said, hey, you know, when I took Power Voice with Les Brown, which is Power Voice Academy, this is Power Voice System, you are a credentialed speaker through
Yes.
the Power Voice System. Les Brown approved, check mark. Les Brown approved. And when you got into it, you weren't even thinking, I think I want to be a speaker. You're like, well, this will enhance what I do. But along the way of enhancing your voice, learning to tell your story, coming into a coaching program, an elite coaching program, spending the money, it's not like a $500 investment. This was a large financial investment, investing in you. And you came alive and said, I need to evolve into what it is that I really want to do, and then made the decision to do it. Now, the reason I'm asking all of this is I'm reiterating this is there's a specific reason. And that is because you are someone that always talks about self-care, always talks about going after your dreams, advocating for yourself. In fact, that's your whole coaching program, right? Is becoming your best, become her, become you, what's next for you. So when it comes to self-care, and for people that are listening today and they're going, man, you're getting me stirred up, Carolyn, like, okay, there's more for me. But, I always say, get your butt out of the chair, just get the butt out of the room. What can you say to that person who's thinking, oh, really, I think I am done. I just don't know if there's enough time. I don't know if I want to spend the energy, time, or money. Maybe I should just settle. Maybe I should just be satisfied. Besides that, I'm busy taking care of everybody else. When am I going to have time for me? You know that there's women out there thinking that, and even men, because you and I used to think that way and still sometimes fight that committee that tries to tell us that lie. So what can you empower women and men with right now when it comes to taking the wheel of their life and driving?
I always start with the question of, is the life you're living the best life God has planned for you? And to think about that and to know that regardless of how great your life is now, that I believe God has better or more for you. And I get such positive reinforcements of this. Everything that I've done this year, there's been something that's reinforced it. My pastor has done a series of sermons on living your life abundantly, expecting great things in your life. And I'm like, this is what I need to hear. So for men and women who are kind of at that crossroads, it's saying, I guess the question can be several questions. Is the life you live the legacy you want to leave?
Wow.
And if you were to live your life backwards, how do you want your life to end? If you kind of think about where you are now and where you're heading, how that life is going to end, is that the legacy? And if not, there are things that you can still do to live the life you want and to make the impact on the world. Even if you think it's too late, my mantra is that it is never too late.
Never.
That there is someone waiting for you to share your story, waiting for you to reach out and lend a hand, to guide them, to support them, that when we live that life of service, we grow ourselves, but we also positively impact other people. And all I could say is, think about all the lives that you could have a positive impact upon. And they're just waiting for you. So why not start now?
Right. It's so cool. I love how you word things. You make it
Oh, I don't know.
simple and so exhortive and so powerful. Okay, so this would be a great place for you to give a little plug on your coaching. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that, and then we can wrap up with you sharing your chapters. So tell us a
Ah,
little about your coaching, because you are a phenomenal coach.
well, yes, as I'm just starting, I have a rolling out, launching my Becoming You coaching program. This is for women over 50. You will hear more about that. I'm starting my beta course and we'll roll that out to the general public very shortly. But I want anyone who wants to get in touch with me for a introductory call to talk about your life and how I can help you in your life and the decisions that you are contemplating. Reach out to me at Carolyn Brooks-Collins at gmail.com or carolyn.brooks-collins at gmail.com. You can reach me on social media, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and I would love to talk to you and see how our lives can connect and how I can help you start living your best life.
Now. You can right now. You can start right now.
Now, you can start now. Yes.
Well, and Carolyn is being very modest by saying, oh, she's not beginning. She is just beginning with this beta class, but she has been a coach to many. So you would be wise to look in the description. All those emails and ways to reach her are there, and reach out and communicate with her, and do it right away, because you can get in on her beta class, because beta classes means it's the first time. And so there's always extra bennies for getting in on the first time. Bennies means benefits. So there'll be extra perks for doing that. And the price of that program is always a whole lot less than when it runs out the second time. So you want to reach out to her right away. So I wanted to make sure that we plugged that. But then we have these two books that are actually behind me, the one in red and then the one with Les's face and John's face. And you were a contributing author in both of them. So Women of Power, Ignited to Serve, there they are. And the greatness in you. Tell us a little bit about your chapters. Don't give it all away, because we want people to order the books from you. And then tell us where and how we get the books from you.
So the Greatness in You chapter, I mean, I just thought this was such a fantastic opportunity to collaborate with great speakers. There is something for everyone in this book, for men, women, whether you're older, younger, or you're just starting out in your career, or single, married. There is at least one story in the book that's going to resonate with every reader. And the main theme of the book is that each of us has greatness inside of us. So in my chapter, in The Greatness in You, I talk about just that we need to start dreaming again, that it is never too late for us to start dreaming. And what happens with a lot of times with men and women, that we start focusing on our age, we start thinking about getting older, and our bodies falling apart, or it's just too late, that the opportunity for us to dream, to start something new, that time has passed. So in my chapter, I was going to start with this quote by Marianne Williamson that says, "You must learn a new way to think before you can master a new way to be." And what I'm thinking is that there are times that we think that the opportunity for us to dream again has passed. We start thinking about dreaming when we were little. We knew what we wanted to be. We would fantasize about all of these things, but at some point in our life, we stop doing that. And I encourage you to keep dreaming, to keep thinking about what you want to do, what life you envision for yourself, and to just keep dreaming those big dreams. I know I keep saying that, but we say, as C.S. Lewis says, you're never too old to set another goal or dream a new dream. And that has been a phrase that I have then just captured and keep repeating and sharing with others. So in this book, in my chapter in The Greatness in You, I also just talk about having that positive mindset and maintaining that positive mindset, which will allow you to set new goals and accomplish new goals. So, and I encourage you, everyone, to get a copy of the book. If you want to get an autographed copy, by all means, reach out to me either on my through email or through social media on Facebook. You can reach me on Messenger, and I will send you a copy of this book for $20. You can have an autograph copy. So if anyone's interested, by all means, reach out to me. But you will love this book, not just my chapter, but many, many other chapters as well. Because
Absolutely.
everyone has a message.
Beautiful. You have another book.
Yes. Women of Power Ignited to Serve. I'm going to just show that cover again.
Oh, I love it. It's beautiful.
My chapter was Choose Your Best Life. That we sit back often thinking that we have no power to take control of our lives. We have no power to choose the life we live, that it just happens and we drift through life. So my message to everyone is that the only person we are destined to be is the person we decide to be. I talk a little bit about some of the stories that I've shared tonight. I talk about actually a plaque that I found at a flea market. And it was a quote by Camus that said, "In the midst of winter, I finally found or learned that there was in me an invincible summer." So in this chapter, I talk about living your best life in spite of the winters you may go through. And I share some of the winters that I went through in my life that I then had to really rely on my inner strength and my faith in God. But I also talk about that those winters came, and though those winters came, that now I'm living that invincible summer, that I know that regardless of everything I've gone through, the best is yet to come in my life. So I wrote this because I knew that women needed to hear that we've all gone through some event in our life, some, as I call them, some winter in our life. And we have to believe and know that we can persevere and have that positive mindset that we can then survive that winter, if you will, and go back to and actually come to that invincible summer that's inside of us, inside of all of us.
That is so beautiful. And as you're saying that, Carolyn, I got this beautiful visual. And I live in Minnesota. Some people call it Minnesota because
Yes.
so
Yes.
My family, we love to get on an airplane and fly away someplace warm and beautiful and sunny when it's really, really cold here. So as you're talking about that winter and getting into that invincible summer, all I can picture is going to the airport and it's blizzarding here in Minnesota. There's a blizzard and it's just that awful, awful, awful winter day, and it's so cold and the wind is blowing. But as we're getting on the plane and we know we're going to that beautiful spot in Florida or, well, maybe not Florida right now, but Hawaii, I don't know where, right? Some beautiful place.
Someplace warm.
And you get off the plane there, you don't have to, you're not cold, you don't need your coat.
Mm-hmm.
You feel the sun on your face. Anyways, I'm feeling like, yes, there are times that feel like that Minnesota blizzard or that polar vortex, like, whoa, this is awful. When is this going to be over? But keeping your eyes on the prize, right? On that summer, as you talked about, where it is going to happen and you're going to be there, just like as if you got on the plane and took off and you're going to land in that beautiful vacation spot. And that's what I was thinking of as you were sharing all about the winter and the summer. It was like, yep. And you can endure that winter knowing that it's not going to last forever and that you're going to land in the summer. I love, love, love that. Oh my gosh, that is so beautiful. Well, before we wrap up here, is there anything else that you didn't get to share that you're like, I want to make sure I say that? Is there anything else? I mean, you've given so much, but I want to make sure.
I have shared a lot, and I definitely appreciate the opportunity to be here with you. But I want to share with women, men as well, that you have to believe in yourself. When you believe in yourself, even sometimes you might have to adopt the belief other people have in you, but when you believe in yourself, there is no stopping you. So I just think no matter where you are, no matter what you've been through, keep going. Keep going.
I love that. Keep going. Don't stop. Keep
Don't
going.
Stop.
I want to play the Journey song. Remember the Journey, Don't Stop Believing? I wish we could have that theme music.
Oh, yes.
Oh, Carolyn, this has been amazing. Thank you for coming on and just pouring into us all. I mean, this has been amazing. And I hope you'll come back again, maybe once you're rolling out, while you are rolling out the coaching program, but maybe like come back and see us in like another 6 months or so and tell us how that's going and share some more insights with us, because Lord knows you are full of them. So thank you for dropping all these gold nuggets on us tonight. You are a blessing. And so love you and appreciate you, Carolyn.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. And thank you, everybody who has tuned in. And I know I just set down my notebook, but oh my goodness, I took so many notes tonight. I know that you did too. So what am I going to say? I'm going to tell you the same thing I started with. Like it and share it. Like it and share it. Carolyn's message is so rich. You don't want to just leave it lay here. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. Let the YouTube world know. Let the Spotify world know. Let the world of social media know these messages, are needed and necessary. But would you share this message with somebody? Email them, tag them, whatever, and leave some comments. And please, please, please reach out to Carolyn. You will be so glad that you did. Remember, you are here on purpose with a purpose. By design, not by default. So go out there right now and be the salt and the light everywhere you go. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Ascend Above the Crowd is the newest course by Pamela Hinkle. Ascend is a self-paced email course that will come directly to your inbox and will change your mindset and your life. Each week, you will receive lessons, resources, challenges, and journal writings that will help you discover your purpose by design. It's your time to ascend above the crowd. To learn more about Ascend, go to www.purposewithpamela.com/ascend.
Pamela Hinkle is a mindset mentor, author, speaker, minister, and transformation coach. Her weekly podcast, international radio show, and television show are a lifeline that changes lives and inspires people to discover their individual potential through realizing their purpose by design. Pamela is a natural motivator and has shown many how to find their niche and transform their lives. Although success is an uphill battle, Pamela gives the necessary strategies to flourish, cheering you on every step of the way. Pamela shares from her personal experiences, education, and life as a woman in leadership, utilizing decades of knowledge. Taking the approach of, let's have coffee and chat, she will awaken your dreams and purpose by design. Are you ready for Pamela to help guide you? Email us at purposewpamela.office@gmail.com or go to her website at purposewithpamela.com.